Good morning, stackers. Welcome to the party. For those of you new to this, I'm Joe Salsihai. We have this little show called Money in the Morning, which we record live in front of a Facebook audience. And I'm just finishing up getting everything lined up for today's show. And as usual, I forgot one thing. Come on. I know this is great TV. Morning, Bill. Sorry, we have this new front end, and I had to, hey, Laura. Get that written out for us. All right, let's check the sound. Come on. Sounds good. Still drives me crazy that those are at two such different levels, but I think we'll be okay. All right, guys, ready to do this? Let's jump on it. If you guys have anything for the show, feel free to add them to the comments. This will be Thursday's podcast, unless some big headline comes up that I don't know about. So that's that. All right. And by the way, you'll notice I look over here a lot. That's where my notes are. So I'm not just avoiding eye contact with you. I promise. All right. I actually have three sets of notes. My main notes are over here. Got a headline here, got a headline there, and I got the opener here. Crazy. All right. Okay, and we are recording. This is Thursday show. Here we go. As I think about the role of Bitcoin and other currencies, I think about why they were created in the first place. Don't you? Are they really an investment, or are they a currency meant to exchange bread for other bread? They facilitate transactions. And on that note, not just around Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, what is an investment? That's just not a question you and I ask. It's one that regulators are asking, and they're beginning to formulate answers around. Podcasting, by the way, clearly not a good investment. If somebody would have told me that a long time ago, we could have saved a lot of time and energy there. But I can help you. Don't do it. But if somehow we sell this podcast for a big profit well into the future, including my mom's basement, was it worth doing? What is an investment? We're going to extend that discussion in our second headline today as we talk about registered investments. What's a registered investment? So why does an investment get registered? And why do we care whether an investment is registered or not? That's all today on Money in the Morning. Live from my mom's finished basement. Man, I barely got that out. It's Money in the Morning. Apparently, I haven't had enough coffee this morning. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, Average Joe Money on Twitter. This is the place where we take two headlines ripped from the financial press. Sometimes not even from the financial press, just from the press. Holy cow, my mouth isn't working. Just ripped from the press. We do this live in front of a Facebook audience. Clearly, we don't edit, which makes it a lot more fun. At the end of the show, we take these two headlines and we mix them together for a big idea that you can take with you for the rest of the day. Money in the Morning is brought to you by FamZoo. You know, if you're trying to learn about money or teach kids about money, nothing like teaching them about money the modern way. We don't just want to teach them about cash and about the dangers of credit cards. We need to teach them what it's like to have plastic and be responsible with it. Maybe we also teach them about the appropriateness of how they spend their allowances, good and bad decision-making. All that is available at famzoo.com, our favorite place when it comes to teaching kids about money. Head to stackingbenjamins.com/famzoo, and that tells Bill and the team at FamZoo that we sent you. Right now, though, we are sending you into the headlines because you got places to go this morning. So let's get this party started, shall we?
And now, your first Money in the Morning headline.
And our first headline comes to us from The Motley Fool. This written by Matthew Frankel. The SEC just said Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't securities. This is interesting. Bitcoin and other leading cryptocurrencies are rebounding somewhat from their recent losses after welcome news from the Securities and Exchange Commission. In a speech, an SEC official clarified that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, but that some other cryptocurrencies and initial coin offerings might be. If an asset's classified as a security, it becomes subject to much more regulatory scrutiny. Here's what this news is doing to cryptocurrency prices, how the SEC will determine what cryptocurrencies and ICOs are securities. Those are initial coin offerings, and what this means for investors. It goes through a bunch of cryptocurrency prices and also then dives into how and why cryptocurrencies might be deemed securities. Hinman said, quote, central to determining whether securities being sold is how it's being sold and the reasonable expectations of purchasers. In other words, does a third party expect a return? Did a certain company, person, or group create or market the asset? So here's the deal, guys. The SEC saying something is a security if it's a security if they expect a return on it. If there's somebody marketing that security, so let's say that I have stock in, I don't know, in Walmart, and I'm marketing that stock. I'm saying, hey, you can make money in that stock. Then it is a security. What's funny is I don't know how they distinguish that with cryptos, because you've got plenty of people. I know there's plenty of podcasts out there talking about how you're going to get rich on cryptocurrencies. And maybe they're not marketing it. They're not involved on the inside, but there are certainly a lot of people on the outside who think of these things as a security. But a security has to be a marketed asset. And in this case, Bitcoin, not marketed for the purpose of making money. It's for the purpose of extending trades back and forth, right? So the same thing money does. That's why it was created. That's why it's out there. A lot of people betting on it. That's why, by the way, a dollar is not considered a security. even though it is a currency. You've got lots of people playing a game on this exchange called the Forex exchange. Forex is where people trade currencies back and forth, can make money selling the pound, buying the dollar, but selling the dollar, buying the yen, whatever you want to do. You can make money back and forth using the Forex, but dollars, yens, pounds, not securities. And now they say that Bitcoin and Ethereum also not securities. But my question is, and it's the same thing with the Forex, I always wonder when people are trading currencies back and forth, like, why? Why? And I get it that there's people that are experts in those ups and downs, and there's probably some money to be made on those ups and downs. But when I have all of these things that I can purchase, and by the way, I'm not jumping on cryptocurrency and I'm not negative cryptocurrency, so please don't email me that I'm negative about that stuff. I'm not. I get it. I get that it's the future. But when people tell me that you're going to make a bunch of money trading in cryptocurrencies, I wonder, is it a security, or is a cryptocurrency, is it a security or is it a currency? Like, am I using it to buy sandwiches, or am I using it to get rich? And if I'm using it to buy sandwiches, why am I holding on to it like I would a security? Why am I a buy and hold investor of something that I would buy sandwiches with? And then that leads me to data, right? When I make a decision around whether this is a good investment or not, what data do I have to suggest that this would be a good buy or not? When I make a good investment decision, I want to be armed with data. I want to know time frame. I want to know historically has it done. There is no history for cryptocurrency. There's very little data about what it does and who owns it and how I'm going to make money. My exit strategy is nebulous. I have no idea what the exit strategy is. And I'm not saying don't put some fun money in it. Certainly people have made a lot of money there, and certainly it will be the future. But looking at this, I think it's just the first salvo. I think we got such a long way to go when it comes to cryptos, that even though the SEC today says not a security, and that makes a lot of people go, oh, thank God, I don't have to worry about all this government intervention. Still think government intervention's coming. I think it is, because I think that what's going to change is this description of what's a security, especially if we keep the get rich quick crowd in there. The get rich quick crowd is really making it difficult for cryptos to not be seen as a security, because there's lots of people who don't know better, who are going to get involved, and they're going to lose their shirt that they can't afford to lose, right? It's almost like when you go into casinos, all the things around the casino about the evils of gambling. And I don't know anybody who walks into a casino and doesn't know what they're getting into. But I know lots of people getting into cryptocurrencies that have no idea what the hell they're getting into. And that's where it scares me. And I'm not calling for government intervention. I strongly believe to deal with investments the way they are, not the way I wish they were. And the way they are right now, it's the Wild West. And whenever we've seen the Wild West, the government comes. I'm predicting it. I think that that's it. And I think the takeaway is, what's the why am I investing, right? Why am I investing in cryptocurrencies? Why am I investing in whatever I'm investing in? I want to start with my why. There's this cool guy, Simon Sinek, who talks about that for businesses. Start with your why. And not just for businesses, for life, right? Start with your why and then work backwards from why. And then you're going to do a better job. Begin with the end in mind. And I'm not sure what my end game is. I really don't know what my end game is. So let's say hello on that note before we get to our second headline. Everybody hanging out with us on Facebook, where we do this live without a net. I finally found my tongue partway through. Stop mispronouncing words. Say hello. Bill's here. Laura's here with us. Our friend Aja's here with us. She says, you told me the other day to dive back into podcasting. Podcasting is awesome. I did. Aja, I think I might have led you astray, because didn't I just say podcasting is horrible? It is fun. It is very fun. And if you're investing for fun, not for profits, it's a great thing to do. And nothing I'd rather do than hang out with you guys right now. Isn't that nice? I know. You're very welcome. Kyle's here with us. Hey, Kyle. Bill says, it sounds like the SEC could apply such a definition to classify just about anything as a security. It all depends right now on third-party marketing, right? And on marketing to get rich. And Ethereum was created to just facilitate transactions, as was Bitcoin. Bitcoin created to facilitate transactions. And as long as that's the case, and as long as the creator's not making money, then Bill, we see it as not a security. But you're right. Definition's kind of wide on purpose. And in this case, there's this unintended consequence thing, right? I mean, in some ways, you can kind of look at cryptos like Beanie Babies. Not many people, a lot of people invested in Beanie Babies, and you see how that went. That did not go well. But then again, Beanie Babies were a fad. Do we think the cryptos are a fad? Because I don't. I don't know which one's going to win, but I definitely don't think it's a fad. So interesting there. Deanna's here with us. We haven't seen Deanna in a while. Deanna says, yeah, because no one's expecting a quote return from cryptocurrency. That's why they're not investing in dollars. I think she's being tongue in cheek there. I think people are definitely investing. Good point, Deanna. Yeah, nobody at all thinks it's a security, right? And she said that's also why the IRS classifies them as investments too, because the IRS does. The IRS actually says it's not a security, which is also why, it is a security. They say that it's not legal tender, right? And if the IRS is defining it as not legal tender, and the SEC says that it's not a security, what do we got, kids? I don't know what the hell we have. We got one government agency saying it's one thing, the other one saying it's something else. Wild stuff. So who knows? But what we do know, here's what we do know. This isn't the end. There is definitely a lot of, the government's coming. The government is coming when it comes to cryptos. All right. We could talk cryptos all day, but let's move on to our second piece, which comes to us from USA Today. This is scary. Richie, our producer, found this morning, and not good news out of New Jersey. It's written by Peggy Wright from the Morristown Daily Record. The New Jersey Attorney General, Chatham financial planner, fined $500,000 and is barred for deceiving seniors. Like, I know there's a place in hell for deceiving anybody, but deceiving seniors is like a special ring of hell, right? You get your own, you're the guy that defrauded seniors. We've got to follow me. We have a special table for you in hell. I think that might be the case, but let's continue. A Chatham financial planner and his company are barred from selling securities and fined $500,000 for deceptively selling $6.1 million in unregistered securities to elderly and retired people. There's that word, unregistered. Richard Bellott, B-E-L-O-T-T, of Warren and his company Financial Planning Advisors, LLC on East Main Street, Chatham, had its registration to sell securities, bonds, notes, and promissory notes revoked by the State Bureau of Securities. The revocation and a $500,000 civil penalty against Bellott and FPA were announced by State Attorney General, the State Attorney General and the State Division of Consumer Affairs on Friday. Designated, by the way, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Doug missed that last Friday when he was on the Stacking Benjamin show talking about the crazy holiday. That's a crazy holiday, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. But every day should be an anti-elder abuse day, shouldn't it? Quote, elderly clients of FPA trusted Bella as their financial advisor to guide them in making wise investments. Instead, he lured them into a fraudulent investment scheme to enrich himself, said Paul Rodriguez, acting director of the Division of Consumer Affairs. There goes my tongue again. That's the overriding theme today, is that my tongue isn't working. Our goal in every case is to see victims made whole, Croydell said as we go further down in the piece. Listen to this. Between 2008 and 2015, Bella and FPA offered and sold at least 24 promissory notes to investors that purportedly were issued by local diners and a developer, according to the Attorney General's announcement. Bellott fraudulently didn't disclose to investors that he had business or ownership relationships with the diners and developer, identified as Parisi Builders and Developers LLC of Berkeley Heights, according to the revocation order. Lisa Croydell, spokesman for the Attorney General's office, said the Bureau couldn't comment on what, if any, monies were recovered by the victims. Instead of promissory notes being issued and executed by the diners or developer, they were issued by individuals personally in violation of law. Some promissory notes investors bought in expectation of high interest yields were often late on payments. On one occasion, a check representing a partial payment from one of the promissory notes to an investor bounced, stated the revocation order. And they go through what this dude actually spent the money on. He actually spent part of it on, let me see if I can find that, because this is absolutely fantastic. The investigation found Bellot used at least $1.55 million of investors' funds on personal expenses. That included, his daughter's college tuition, trips to Hawaii. Hawaii's great, but I got to tell you, Hawaii's probably better if you're using somebody else's money. They talk about using OPM, other people's money. This is probably not what they were talking about, by the way. Not just trips to Hawaii, but trips also to London and Paris, and the mortgage on his beach house in another town in New Jersey that I can't pronounce. That's so sad. That's absolutely horrible. Our friend Nick is here, by the way. He says, he thinks all his investments are registered to Bed Bath & Beyond. That's a heck of an investment return. As long as your bathroom looks great, because that's like your return on investment. People go into your bathroom, Nick, and they go, well, it's fantastic. Absolutely. This is a beautiful bathroom. Nick says, thank you. He gets that joy that brought, and that is his return on investment, not money. And by the way, that's the check that never bounces. People say, thank you, never bounces. I can't confirm that they always mean it, but they actually, they do say it. This is horrible. So let's talk about registered investments, because registered investments are the important thing here. Even if an investment is local, it needs to be registered. And if an investment is an unregistered investment, we start running into some problems. Certainly you can hand a friend money and that friend can take that money and do different things with it. However, when people are expecting registered investments, an investment is not registered, then there's a difficulty. And you've got a couple of issues that you need to know. There's a few hints about whether an investment's registered or not. Does the investment have what's called a prospectus, right? Registered investments are offered by prospectus. So you're going to get this thing that tells you all the details of the investment, which, by the way, could include that the dude's taking a trip to Hawaii and he's going to spend money from that. If it's registered and they disclose it ahead of time and you knew ahead of time, then that's fine. In this case, not registered. You didn't think that was what you were getting. Surprise, you paid advisor's tuition. Also, in the part of the registration has to be whether the advisor has to disclose where you sign that they are affiliated with the investments there. When you buy an investment on a commission, you will sign something that says that you understand that there's a commission being paid. Real estate transaction, right? The realtor has to tell you that they're getting a commission. There might be a conflict of interest, all that stuff going on. They have to tell you. If they don't tell you, then somebody needs to have happened what this guy has happening right now to him. It can get very scary. But registered investments are an important thing for you to know. Is this investment registered? And your first takeaway is, if it's a local investment working on local stuff, much potential for that to be sketchy. Number two, are they disclosing in anything that you sign that there's a relationship between the person selling you the investment and the place? And then is there a prospectus showing you the use of funds? Very, very, not huge hoops to jump through, right? And like my partner on the Stacky Benjamins, OG, says, the longer that prospectus is, the more likelihood there is you're getting screwed. Not a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. Every thick prospectus doesn't mean you're getting screwed, but the thicker that thing is, the better the chances that you're at the very least not going to understand it, to be fair. Registered investments, super important. All right. We talked a lot about investing today, but in two separate areas. In just a second, we're going to take those investments and we're going to put those together into one big idea. But before we do that, I want to talk about FamZoo again for just a second. Our friend Bill Dwight over at FamZoo and his posse of people working there do a great job of helping kids learn about money the modern way. When I grew up, kids like me just learned to know about cash, right? Everything happened in cash. I took cash to buy baseball cards. I saved cash. I took cash to the bank into my savings account. I need to know cash. How many kids grow up today with cash? Not many. They see you pull out a piece of plastic, either the debit card or they see you pull out a credit card, and they learn about plastic. But where does that money come from? How does that money work? How do we keep track of it? At FamZoo, you have all the tools there that you need to learn and teach your family about cash. And you don't have to be an expert to do that. Cash the modern way, by the way, which is all via plastic. The way it works is that FamZoo kind of partitions your account and makes a little partition the kid's account so that you can authorize money to be moved over to their account. If they don't have any money, it will not approve them for a transaction at a store. You can also require them to keep tabs and keep a register of how their money's working. You can go over with them how they spent money afterwards. Instead of telling them ahead of time that they shouldn't spend money that way, let kids spend a few dollars the wrong way and then circle back on their FamZoo account later and say, the Dr. Phil, how did that work out for you? Right. And have the guts to teach them a little lesson about money instead of a big lesson later that they might need as an adult and they never learned about plastic. StackyBenjamins.com/FamZoo to get there, and you'll get all the details. And by the way, that's how you support Money in the Morning, is that we have an affiliate relationship with FamZoo. We love them. And so if you use our link, they send us a little thank you. So thanks to everybody who's used our link when they headed to FamZoo. All right. Let's take these two headlines back again in just a second. Deanna, by the way, says, for full disclosure, it's not accounted for by the IRS as an investment. Talking about cryptos again here, by the way, when it's used in a business transaction, but then that means you have to pay ordinary income tax and potential self-employment tax on the gains. So what Deanna's saying is that Deanna, by the way, a CPA in Arkansas. Deanna is talking about when you're trading money back and forth, but then Deanna, you're using it as a currency, right? Using it as a currency, not as a security. And I get that the IRS says it's not a currency, but you're trading stuff for stuff. And it's a long story when you get into cryptos. It is a seriously long story. All right, let's put these two together though, shall we? We talked about cryptos and are they a security? Are they a currency? As you can see, still not sure, but there's more coming. On the other side, we talked about registered investments. Another financial advisor defrauding seniors, fined $500,000 and kicked out of his registrations, not able to sell stocks, bonds, promissory notes, things like that anymore. What do these two headlines have to do with each other? Here's today's big idea. Is that we talked today a little bit about hints. When it comes to your cryptos, there's hints that government intervention might be coming. Government intervention has already started coming. You've got plenty of people selling snake oil to people who are trying to get rich in cryptos. That's a sign that government intervention is probably on the way. On the other side, when it comes to unregistered securities and these local securities and not using a prospectus, we also know that there's hints, right? We get these hints. And who's the onus on to read these hints? It's on you, sadly. We can blame the government for not coming to our rescue quick enough. We can blame the snake oil salesman. But wherever there's a dollar to be made, there also is the ability on your end to do a little due diligence. And this whole fear missing out thing that we see from time to time usually ends up going poorly. I read something recently about a guy who bought tons of Beanie Babies and he still has them because he thought they were going to be a fantastic investment in the future. Cryptos in January went through the roof as everybody jumped on. Many people in crypto are still down 50% on their initial investment in just a short amount of time. Due diligence. Don't get caught up in the hot next thing. And maybe crypto is the hot next thing. I'm not saying it's not. And we don't know if it is. I think it might be. I don't know which one though. And so doing some due diligence and learning what that marketplace is all about and how to protect yourself is a big, big point for you. And if you've got seniors in your family, if you're a senior listening to this, you have seniors in your family, you got anybody in your family that seems to be getting into investment and you're not sure that it's the right thing, offer to go through it with them. offer to at least do the due diligence for them. And even if it doesn't fit you, the frustration I've had in the past is I've seen people counsel older relatives, younger relatives, and it's not right for them. So they say it's not right for that individual. Don't cross that line. Just make sure that it's not going to do a bunch of harm first. It might be a little too expensive. It might be something that you don't love, but that doesn't mean it's bad for that person. And what we don't want to have happen is we don't want the young investor to feel like they're overwhelmed and they're always making the bad decision, so they never make another decision again. We also don't want the older investor clamming up and not telling us stuff in the future. So don't harp, don't get over involved, but just offer to go through it with them and make sure that they're not getting taken by a financial advisor. I think that's going to do it for us today. Buyer beware is the big take home today. Thanks to everybody on Facebook for hanging out. Thanks to Deanna says that crypto is a long, complicated, convoluted story. Yes, it is. And you know what? It doesn't end there, but we do today. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time. Go stack some Benjamins. Bye-bye.
Money in the Morning is created by Joe Saul-Sehy and is brought to our channels by our producer and engineer, Richie Rutter-Reese. Stacking Benjamins and Money in the Morning are for entertainment purposes. Before making moves, consult with your financial advisor. Looking for training sessions? Kathleen Selmans has a great suite of Stacking Benjamins tools, so head on over to learn.stackingbenjamins.com. Hoping to chat with us on the web? Say hello to Shannon Cowan, our social media guru and community manager in our Facebook group. She can be found at stackingbenjamins.com/basement. From the basement, I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. See you tomorrow.
Oh, that was fun. It was long, but fun. I got to shorten that, and I'm working on it. Deanna, great to see you, and great to have some others of you here that we normally don't have. I like the fact Kyle said we started late today. It is now money in the afternoon. So, yeah, we recorded Stacking Benjamins this morning, and I had a couple meetings this morning that I had to get to first. We're going to do one more this afternoon, by the way. So I was going to do one yesterday on Father's Day, and I didn't get to it. I was too busy playing around. So had a great day. Hope you all had a great day yesterday. Very quiet here for Father's Day, which was nice. All right. That's going to do it for me. We'll be back here probably, I would guess, around 2:30 Central Time. And that is a guess. But if you're around then and you fire up Facebook, we'd love to have you here with us. All right. See ya.